Everyone to the select board meeting here on Monday, November 7th. Pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, on June 16th, Governor Baker signed into law an act extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency. This act includes an extension until March 31st of 2023 of the remote meeting provisions of his March 12th, 2020 executive order. Thus, this meeting will be conducted by a remote participation by the board, and I'm going to grant Westwood Media Center permission to record the meeting and ask, is there anyone else wishing to record the meeting? Seeing none, we will jump into the chair's update, and our very first item of business is to welcome our new finance director. Stephanie McManus is the assistant town administrator / finance director, joining us as of this morning. She comes to us from the city of Boston, where she was the finance director for the Boston Recreation Department. Welcome, Stephanie, and you are certainly jumping in at a busy time of year.
Thank you for that. Looking forward to it, though.
Excellent. Chris, anything else you want to say?
I would just say that Stephanie has probably had 2 months worth of information shared with her in less than 6 hours. So she's taken it all in very well.
All right. Next up on the chair's update is just a reminder that this Friday is Veterans Day, and we will be holding a ceremony at Veterans Park on November 11th at 11 a.m. In the event of inclement weather, and we were talking about there's a 50-50 shot, and hopefully it's going to be in the afternoon, the ceremony would be moved to the Council on Aging at 60 Manhattan Street. If it is to be moved, we will send an alert prior to the event and post the information on the website. We will have a number of speakers, including Dick Pastor and myself, on the event. So with that, we're jumping right into schedule action, and we have a one-day special wine and malt license for the New England Mountain Bike Association. And I believe, Nora, you are here to fill us in on the details of that.
I am, and we also have Leslie Riding from the New England Mountain Bike Association who's here, so she may be able to answer any questions you have. But just for the basics, this is billed as a turkey afterburner event. It's scheduled for Sunday, November 27th, the Sunday right after Thanksgiving, from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. The event will include food, music, self-guided rides, and a cash bar. And they are having tips-trained servers that have all been certified from Exhibit A Brewery, as well as food from the Wicked Flavor food truck, which has had its food permit issued as of last week. This was reviewed by the Alcohol Review Committee. If you have any questions, Leslie's here. You want to pose them to her.
I will ask my colleagues if either of you have any questions.
I do not. Thank
All
you.
right. And I would entertain a motion.
Okay, I have it in 3 parts, so bear with me. For the select board, I move that the select board grant approval of a one-day special wine and malt license for Southeastern Mass New England Mountain Bike Association for a turkey afterburner event on Sunday, November 27th, 2022 at Hale's Cat Rock Field and Pavilion with the following: 1, for alcohol to be served between 8:30 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. pending public safety inspections. 2, to allow for the setup time and cleanup time for alcohol on the premises from 7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. on November 27th, 2022, and for electronic signatures of the select board to be affixed to the license.
I second that.
Okay, roll call vote. Ms. LeBlanc Cummings.
Aye.
Mr. Walsh.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Leslie, good luck with your event. We hope you get great weather and have a successful event.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Okay, next up, Nora, again, we have now, it's the time of year when we start to see change of manager applications. This one's submitted by Smashburger. Why don't you give us a little bit of background on this one?
Sure. So Smashburger, we have the former manager was Paul Compercio, and he gave his he took a leave of absence in August and did not return. The proposed new manager is Brian Scandifio, Mr. Scandifio was transferred to Westwood this past July, so just before the prior manager went out on leave. He came from formerly working at Smashburgers at their Wantagh, New York facility, where he was since 2014. Before that, he was with the Marriott in Uniondale, New York. Query results have been favorable. The only thing that's a little bit unusual about this is the select board's rules and regulations. Section 2, number 3 requires that a manager of record be a resident of Massachusetts. You may remember that this issue came up at Anthony's Coal-Fired Pizza. I think it was just about a year ago, November 2021, where they had a manager who was living out of state, and the board conditionally approved their license. We're recommending that you do the same. The Alcohol Review Committee reviewed this. They have no concerns about the proposed manager. They recommend approval, but recommend that the board grant a waiver of Section 2, number 3, and grant the approval with the condition that if there's a need to reconsider this or revoke the manager approval in the future, if there's any event that's punishable by violation of policy or law. I will note that at Anthony's Coal-Fired Pizza, where you had done this previously, there have been no incidents at all that are related to the manager's residency out of state.
Thank you. I'll open it to questions from either Michael or Marianne. Do either of you have any questions?
No.
I do not.
Very good. Then I would entertain a motion.
So I move that the select board to grant relief from the residency requirement of section 2, number 3. I don't know, is that section 11 or
Section
I
2.
believe it's Section 2,
okay.
Roman numeral 2.
Section 2, number 3 of the Westwood rules and regulations governing alcoholic beverages, and approve Brian Scadifio as the manager of record at Smashburgers, pending Alcoholic Beverages Control Commission, known as the ABCC, approval, with a condition that said approval be reconsidered and or revoked in the event of any punishable violation of policy or law. Also, for the select board to authorize electronic signatures of the select board to be affixed to the Alcohol Beverages Control Commission's licensing authority certificate form.
I second that.
Okay, roll call vote. Ms. LeBlanc Cummings.
Aye.
Mr. Walsh.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Brian, welcome to Westwood, and we wish you well. Okay. In keeping with this time of year, we have a change of manager at Del Frisco's. Now, go ahead and take it away.
So one more. So the current manager of record at Del Frisco's is Nicholas Phelps. Nicholas is staying with Del Frisco's, but going to a different location. We have a recommendation for a new manager, Hector Tovar, who's joining us tonight. Hector resides in Medway, Massachusetts, and he is proposed to be the general manager of the Westwood Del Frisco's. He's been with the Westwood Del Frisco's since August of this year, and prior to that, he's worked on several different food service industries: Ramsey's Kitchen, Bartaco, Yard House, and Legal Seafoods have been among them. Query results were favorable, and the Alcohol Review Commission unanimously recommended approval of Hector as the new manager of record.
Questions from either Michael or Marianne?
No.
No questions.
Okay. Then we
All right, I move the select board to approve Hector Tovar as the manager of record at Del Frisco's Grille, pending Alcoholic Beverages Control Commission approval, and for the electronic signatures of the select board to be affixed to the Alcoholic Beverages Control Commission licensing authority certificate form.
I second that.
Okay, roll call vote. Ms. LeBlanc Cummings.
Aye.
Mr. Walsh.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Hector, welcome to town. Good luck, and we wish you much success down there.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next up, we have the tax classification hearing, where each year we hold a hearing to establish the tax classification factor based upon a recommendation from the Board of Assessors. This factor determines how much of the tax levy is paid by each property class, commercial and residential. This hearing is to determine the fiscal year 23 tax classification factor, so the fiscal year 23 tax rate can be set and submitted to the Department of Revenue for approval. And we have John Curran from our Board of Assessors here.
And we just wanted to present tonight that we were going to ask for an extension to do this on Monday, November 21st. We're still waiting for DOR approval, so we cannot begin to actually work our tax rate shift until we have our sales and our values certified for this year. And we expect that to happen this week.
Okay, questions from anybody, either Ms. LeBlanc Cummings or Mr. Walsh?
No questions.
So I move that the select board continue the FY23 tax classification public hearing until the select board meeting on our November 21st, 2022 meeting.
And that
I
will be
second
held,
that.
and that'll be held at 8 a.m., correct?
Yes.
Yes. And
Very good.
Mr.
Okay.
Chair, just for clarification, that will also be a virtual meeting.
That will via Zoom, yes.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Why don't you amend?
Marianne, did you second that?
Oh,
Second.
second.
Second the amended, there you go. Okay, good. So roll call vote, Ms. LeBlanc
Aye.
Cummings, Mr. Walsh,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well. Thank you, John. We look forward to talking to you again on the 21st.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thanks, John.
Okay, I am going to recuse myself as we head into new business for this next item. Chris, please text me when it is okay to rejoin.
Will do.
All right, so Mr. Ahern, I guess you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman Pro Tem. In an abundance of caution, I have advised Chairman Gotti to recuse himself from any and all deliberative processes having to do with Hale education at this time. We are in the process of obtaining an opinion letter from special counsel to offer an opinion as to any potential conflict of interest. As part of that process, we are required to send a copy of that letter to the State Ethics Commission, and they will review it and let us know their findings. When the process is complete, we will disclose the outcome either way.
Okay.
Mr. Chair Pro Tem,
Yes.
if I may, I'd like to make a disclosure as well, which is that with respect to Hale Education, the trustees of the reservation have been discussed as a potential partner in that project. And as my husband and I are members of that charitable organization, and my husband has had some seasonal employment with the trustees, I reached out to the State Ethics Commission to advise them of this. And they advised me that I could participate in this matter involving Hale, and advised that I file the appropriate disclosure form, which I did on October 19th. So I wanted to disclose that. Thank you.
Good. I was getting a little nervous. I would be the only one who's.
I'm with you, Mike.
Okay. All right. So that's all we have. We can bring back our chair and let him finish running the rest of the meeting.
I will send a text now.
Okay. Let me go back to the Nora chair.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Thank you, Michael, for stepping in there. Next up is a status update on the comprehensive plan. And Nora, as you have had quite a bit of the agenda tonight, this one is all yours.
Terrific. If you don't mind, I'd like to share my screen for this one. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Yes.
So as I'm sure everyone recalls, the town adopted a new comprehensive plan in 2020, just towards the end of 2020. This was replacing our comprehensive plan that was adopted in the year 2000. It was a exhaustive process with a very dedicated, large 20-plus member steering committee that lasted nearly 2 years. They began work in early 2019, and the planning board finally granted adoption in December of 2020. To let's see try to see how I do this now on.
Just use your right arrow key. You should be able to advance the slides.
Okay.
If not, try the down arrow key.
All right, I'm gonna have to stop and restart. Sorry about that. Okay. No, for some reason it's not going forward. All right, let me take it back out of this view and try one more time. Sorry about that. All right, I'll try manually. Can you see that next slide now?
Yes.
We can.
Yes.
All right. So the comprehensive plan had 10 different chapters in it, elements of the plan. Land use, town centers, housing, economic development, natural and cultural resources, community facilities, open space and recreation, transportation, sustainability and resiliency, and implementation. The implementation chapter is probably the most important because that's the one that is the living, breathing part of the plan that continues to move forward. There's a table at the end of the comprehensive plan that's 30 pages long. This is the implementation table. And in this table, there are over 230 implementing actions. So the text of the plan is several hundred pages long and describes different goals and priority strategies for the town. And then the implementation table puts them into categories and assigns an action summary. So the action identifies the number of the action from the portion of the plan. So for instance, a land use action would be LU1 or LU2. An economic development option would be ED1, ED2, and on like that. So the implementation table shows the action number, the action summary, which is a brief description of each of the actions that are proposed, and then it lists the lead agency, and in most cases, multiple agencies. Can be a department, a board, a committee, someone who takes responsibility for ensuring that that action is implemented. The next table, section of the table, has a category for whether it's an ongoing action or not. And then there are categories for the term, when the action should be taken up, short term, mid-term, long term, and then finally there's a category, a column that marks whether it's a high priority item. The comprehensive plan has several different implementation parties. So there's many boards and committees, departments, organizations, even a private organization like the Westwood Land Trust is included in this. So what I'm going to do tonight is to show you the comprehensive plan actions, the portion of the comprehensive plan implementation action schedule that are specifically designated to a lead agency that includes the select board. I have about 13 pages of actions, and I don't expect you to review them all in detail tonight. I just want to go over what they are to let you know what the the select board is responsible for, either alone or with other organizations. So first, in the land use category, the first implementation action is to foster community gathering places, walking paths, bike paths, trails, shuttle services. The lead agency for this action is the select board, along with planning staff, conservation, and recreation. And this was listed as a short-term action. As far as what it means for short-term action, jumping back to defining short-term, is it's expected to be initiated within 2 years. So that was something that we were expecting to do right around now, begin implementing that proposed action. The next one under the land use category is repurpose municipally owned properties for town centers, housing, or open space and recreation. This is up to the select board as the sole lead agency, also in the short term. Next is funding for open space. Select board is the lead agency, and this is shown as a midterm goal. And then prioritize open space protections and acquisitions. The select board would work with the land trust and conservation, and again, this is a midterm goal.
Nora, if I may,
Sure.
just for everyone's background, the action number inside of each section has nothing to do with prioritization, if memory serves. And these timetables, implementation tables were sort of guideline from the group and not gospel.
Exactly. So the action number implements where it falls in the plan. So the L1 is the first action listed in the land use section, the land use element of the comprehensive plan. None of the goals are prioritized. They are listed in the manner that they were taken up by the planning board. The last column here, high priority, will have an X in it for items that were considered by the planning board when they first adopted the comprehensive plan to be high priority. I will point out that the comprehensive plan is expected to be revised over time. We're hoping to do another update around 2025, 2027 area. And at that time, we would expect to change these X's around. If something doesn't really work as a short term, maybe it becomes a midterm. If there was something that was here for a long term, but it became more important, maybe it becomes a high priority short term item. So the board will have the opportunity to review all the items on its list and make recommendations to the planning board, and the planning board will consider that. All of the different organizations that have implementation actions in this plan have been given a list of their lead agency actions and asked to look them over and make recommendations to the planning board for changes, and also just to provide an update to the planning board for what's been done so far, what is on the near horizon, and if there are any goals that were listed here that will not be followed through for one reason or another. Circumstances have changed and they're no longer priority goals for the town. So moving along, the next group of implementation actions all come from the town center element of the comprehensive plan. The first one, TC2, is collaborate with select board for Deerfield property, and this would involve the select board and the planning staff. It's shown as a midterm option and listed as a high priority action. Obviously, something like that is dependent on what happens with the elementary school and when and if the school committee releases the Deerfield schools. So that's something to be looked at in the future. T5, outdoor seating, street furniture, gathering places. I believe that was, these are just summary statements. I believe if you've read back to the town center section of the plan, that there's a recommendation that the select board and the public works department look to see where we can increase street furnishings to make our gathering places more useful to our residents. TC10, annual review of infrastructure and improvements. That's something that is taken up on a daily basis. That's by the select board and the Department of Public Works. TC14, public art and public amenities. There's a recommendation that the select board and the planning board look to see if there are places where we might install public art throughout Westwood. TC15, public gathering spaces, select board and the planning board for a short-term implementation. TC16, incorporate greenery in public ways and commercial projects. That's up to the select board and the planning board, also a short-term goal. The next category is under the housing element. H1 proposes zoning changes for greater housing choices, has several lead agents, the select board, the school committee, the planning board, and the housing partnership, and it's listed as midterm. Something that would fall under this is at the last town meeting adopted the mixed-use multifamily housing overlay district. That would fall under this category. H2 is housing production plan compliance to increase subsidized housing inventory. The lead agencies are the Housing Partnership, Planning Board, Housing Authority, and Select Board. This is ongoing. We update our subsidized housing inventory on an annual basis, and it's listed as a high priority item. H8, establish a diversity or human rights committee. This is left with the select board as the lead agency and shown as a short-term and high priority goal. H9, study the benefits of the CPA, that's the Community Protection Act. The select board and finance are listed as the lead agencies with a midterm recommendation. H12, explore programs for energy efficient and renewable energy improvements for residences. The select board and WEOC are listed as the lead agencies, and this is a midterm recommendation. H13, supplement aid to the elderly and disability tax fund, select board and finance, midterm. Moving along, we have goals and implementation actions from the economic development element of the plan. E4, encourage commercial development along Route 1. This is listed for Economic Development Division, Select Board, and planning staff to work on, and has a midterm proposed action. E6, support development of Islington Center. Select Board, planning staff, and economic development are lead agents on that. It's listed as ongoing, and obviously there's been quite a bit done there in the last couple of years. E13, streamline business permitting. The Select Board, Planning Board, and Economic Development are listed as the lead agencies. That's ongoing, and that's something we work on consistently. E14, maintain and adjust as needed the split tax rate. You'll hear about that at your next meeting, as John Kern discussed tonight. The Select Board, the Board of Assessors, and Finance are the lead agents, and that's ongoing. E15, utilize tax increment financing, TIPS. The Select Board and Finance are the lead agency, and that's listed as a midterm goal. E17, explore business ambassador liaison. The Select Board and Economic Development are the lead agents, and that's also listed as a midterm goal. The next element is natural and cultural resources. The Select Board's items are NC4, provide connections to fragmented open space. This has the Select Board, Conservation, and Land Trust as the lead agencies, and it's a long-term goal. NC21, evaluate effectiveness of the historic structures demolition bylaw. Historical Commission and Select Board are the co-lead agencies, and this is a short-term goal. NC23, investigate the benefits of the CPA. Now this came up under housing. It's going to come up a couple of different times. There are some goals that are goals in different elements, so they're repeated in the chart. The Select Board and Finance are listed as the lead agencies for a midterm goal. NC25, explore opportunities for pocket parks and parklets. Economic Development, Select Board, Public Works, and Recreation are listed as lead agents, and this is a short-term goal. NC27, establish trail and sidewalk program to Blue Hills Reservation. Pedestrian and Bicycle Safety Committee, Select Board, and Planning Board are the lead agents. This is a long-term goal. NC32, pursue historic rehabilitation of the Obed Baker House. The Select Board and Economic Development are the lead agencies. This is ongoing, and this is very timely. It's actually going to be on the Planning Board's meeting for consideration in December. NC34, sidewalks to be designed with natural environment. The Select Board and Public Works are the lead agents, and this is a short-term goal. The next section is community facilities. There's actually a few pages here, as you would expect. The Select Board is responsible for all the community facilities. CF4, prioritize incorporating renewable energy at town properties. Select Board and the School Committee are the lead agents. This is short-term and high priority. CF7, investigate parking expansion options at the main library. The Select Board and Library Trustees are the agents, midterm goal. CF9, develop long-range plan for Fire Station 1 renovation or expansion. Select Board and the Fire Department are the lead agencies. This is a long-term goal and a high priority. CF10, expand electric charging stations at municipal properties. Public Works and Select Board are the lead agents. It's a short-term, high-priority goal. CF12, evaluate feasibility of multi-purpose indoor recreational community facility. Recreation Commission and Select Board are the lead agencies, and this is a short-term goal. CF15, incorporate meeting and multi-purpose space for new municipal construction. The Select Board is the lead agency, and this is ongoing. CF17, evaluate opportunity for community gardens. Select Board and Public Works are the lead agents, midterm goal. CF21, implement electronic permitting for all departments. The town administrator and all departments are lead agencies on this. This is an ongoing goal. CF23, expand Westwood media contract to cover more public meetings. Select Board is the lead agency, and it's a midterm goal. CF24, develop staff to website updates and communications. I think it's to undertake website updates and communications. Town administrator and all departments are the lead agencies, and this is midterm. CF29, require municipal redevelopment to incorporate sustainable practices and maximize energy efficiency. The Select Board is the agent. This is short term and high priority. A few more. CF31, design municipal facilities to represent local history and compatible with surroundings. This is the lead agency is the Select Board, and it's a short-term goal. CF32, establish municipal facilities staff committee. The Select Board is the lead agency. This is a midterm goal. And CF34, mentor and recruit new members to boards and commissions with emphasis on currently underrepresented populations. Select Board is the lead agency. This is ongoing, and it's a short-term goal. Moving on to open space and recreation. The open space and recreation is divided into conservation, recreation, and open space categories. So the first one, conservation, CC6, educate the community on the benefits of the CPA, Community Preservation Act. The Select Board, Finance, Housing Partnership, Conservation, Recreation, and Historical Commission are all co-lead agencies, and that's a midterm goal. Recreation 1, prioritize developing a new multi-purpose indoor recreation community center. We heard about that in community facilities. It's a duplicate action. Select Board and Recreation are the lead agencies, and this is a short-term goal. Open Space 4, land acquisition for contiguous connectivity, such as near Lyman's Pond. Conservation, Select Board, and Land Trust are co-lead agents. This is a midterm goal. And Open Space 6, encourage open space donations or conservation restrictions. The Select Board and the Land Trust are the lead agents, and this is ongoing. Moving on to transportation. T1, promote regional transportation improvements. Public Works, Select Board, planning staff are all co-agents, and it's a short-term goal. T2, seek participation in MAPC and TRIC. Those are the planning agencies, regional planning agencies that we participate in. Planning staff and Select Board are the lead agents, and it's ongoing. T3, advocate for improved commuter rail service and maintenance of the Route 128 garage. A lead agency is Select Board and planning staff. This is ongoing. In fact, there are repairs being undertaken there as we speak. T4, strive to implement complete streets policy. Public Works and Select Board are the lead agents. This is ongoing. T5, use the complete streets prioritization plan for replacement and maintenance. Select Board and Public Works are the agents. It's an ongoing goal. T6, continue efforts to design and construct path or sidewalk on Gay Street. Select Board and Public Works are the lead agencies. This is ongoing and high priority. T7, work towards implementing recommendations of the Dedham-Westwood Pedestrian Connection Plan. That was a plan I believe we adopted in 2014. The Select Board is the lead agent along with Public Works and the Pedestrian Bicycle Safety Committee, and it's a midterm goal. T8, consider a bike sharing program. The Select Board and planning staff are the lead agents, and it's a midterm goal. T12, consider increasing number of bus shelters. Select Board and planning staff are lead agents, midterm goal. T13, consider cooperative rideshare programs. The Select Board, Economic Development Division, planning staff, and Council on Aging are all joint agents, and this is a short-term goal. T25, require appropriate mitigation measures for projects that increase transportation demand. Planning Board and Select Board are the agents, and it's an ongoing goal. T33, incorporate sidewalks, bike lanes, paths, trees in public roadway projects. The Select Board, Public Works, and Planning Board are the lead agents, and this is a long-term goal. T34, consider traffic calming measures to address speeding and safety. The Select Board, Pedestrian Bicycle Safety Committee, and Public Works and Police are all lead agents. This is an ongoing goal. And T35, apply engineering, education, enforcement, evaluation, encouragement for safety improvements. The Select Board is the lead agent, and it's a long-term goal. And then moving into the last category is sustainability and resiliency. S2, consider climate change in all town decisions. The Town Administrator, Select Board, and all departments are lead agencies. This is ongoing and high priority. S3, continue installation of roof solar and add solar carports on municipal properties. The Select Board, School Committee, Energy Manager, Facilities Management are all lead agents. This is ongoing and high priority. S4, conduct townwide CO2 energy use audit and report. The Select Board and Energy Manager are the lead agents. This is ongoing and high priority. S6, energy conservation and use or renewable energy in town facilities and fleet. The Select Board, WEAC, and Public Works are the lead agents. This one is listed as both ongoing and short-term, and it's a high priority. S12, explore programs to promote and incentivize sustainability and renewable energy to residents. The Energy Manager, Select Board, and WEAC are the agents. This is short-term and high priority. S14, engage WEAC or other groups to increase public awareness of sustainability for municipal construction. The Energy Manager and Select Board are the lead agents. This is listed as short-term and high priority. S17, incentivize transition to electricity to phase out fossil fuel use. Select Board and Planning Board are the lead agents. This is a short-term goal. R1, I should have said S stands for sustainability, R for resiliency. R1 is develop a climate action resiliency plan. The Select Board, Fire, Health, Public Works, Conservation, and WEAC are all lead agents on that. This is a short-term goal and high priority. And R7, place power lines underground to prevent storm-related outages. This one, the Select Board is the lead agent, along with Public Works, and it's a midterm goal. So that is the complete list of implementation actions that the Select Board has a lead agency role in. Almost all of the actions are recommendations for study, for following up information on. They're not necessarily items that must be done. They're items that the comprehensive plan encourages the town to look into doing. And then I just wanted to give you an idea of where these stand. So we talked about how in the beginning, some of the action items, if it was a short-term action, we were expecting it in 2 years. If it was a mid-range, 3 to 5. If it was long range, then 5 or more. So just to say where we stand with this, the Planning Board is charged with status review and execution of all the implementation actions, no matter who is the implementing lead agent. The Planning Board undertakes an annual review. They're expected to do this every May and continue as long as needed, depending on their timing and workflow. Unfortunately, there's been a little bit of delay because of staffing shortages over the last 2 years. So the board has taken it up. It's been on their agenda. They discussed it over the summer. I believe it was at their June meeting. And they've actually had it on their agenda for their October and November meetings. And both times their meetings went past midnight and it's been shifted. So the implementation chart is on the Planning Board's agenda again for the December 13th meeting. And we've asked all of the different organizations to give an update to planning staff that we can pass along to the Planning Board on where they stand with implementation goals that are on their list of to-do. To let us know if there are any that can be checked off that are complete, to let us know if there are any that are no longer considered appropriate that they won't be moving forward with, and to let us know if there are any changes that are recommended either in the terms or in the priorities of the goals. So I'd be happy to answer any questions about the Select Board's list of tasks here and about the further action by the Planning Board.
Well, Nora, thank you, for going through all of what is in sort of our purview. And I won't make you go back through all of the various pages, but I will highlight there are a number of initiatives that are either complete or, substantially complete in terms of whether you're talking about Obed Baker or some of the new meeting space that is at Wentworth Hall, many of the things that we've talked about here with respect to solar panels. So there are a number of things that, as we went through that exhaustive list, that really are in very good shape in terms of progress. Questions from either Michael or Mary Ann? Okay, Nora, thank you very much. I think if I heard you correctly, when the planning board next reviews this, they'll start to look at things in terms of what can be marked as at least complete or substantially complete.
That's right. So they'll do that just to keep tabs on where things are going, and they'll do that until they finish this year, and then they'll take it up again next summer and see where it goes. And then eventually, probably somewhere between 2025 and 2027, they will make amendments to the plan that recognize those changes. But for right now, it's just a matter of noting where things stand, what's been done, what needs to be done, and where necessary, contacting different agents and asking for them to move along with something if it's something that maybe there are 3 co-agents and 2 of them are moving along and one of them's not quite ready. Get them together. So the planning board is sort of the facilitator of the plan.
Chris, is there anything you'd like to call out from any of the departments? No, certainly we have established the Human Rights Task Force. There's the Complete Streets work for Todd and the DPW certainly is worth note. Anything that you think is worthy of note based on the list that Nora just went through?
Well, I would have highlighted those same 2 that you did, Mr. Chair, as well as the ongoing work that our Public Works Department continues to do. But I will say this, that there's a number of DEI or human rights initiatives that are being worked on by the task force that we'll be bringing back to the select board for updates and also some guidance at your future meetings.
Excellent. Nora, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Rob, if I may.
Certainly.
I just wanted to raise a couple of issues. As you mentioned, we're making great progress on a number of these issues. One of the things that jumps out to me is with respect to the sustainability goals. I think pretty much all of them are high priority. And, as you mentioned, we're working on many of them. And one is the developing the climate action resiliency plan. And I think so much of what we're doing would be included in that plan, but I think that it would be great to actually have that plan developed with the group that is noted here: fire, health, public works, conservation, WEAC. And I'd love to see us take some action to get that moving as a group.
If I could comment on that, so that is our #1 goal. We've been without a town planner for a number of months now. We're in the hiring process, and once we do get a town planner on board, the expectation is that within 6 months of hire, they would begin the process of writing a new, or at least soliciting information for the new climate action, sustainability and resilience plan. And I would expect it to actually be at the point where it can be adopted within a year after that. So that is by far the highest priority item for the planning department.
That's great, Nora. That's great. And the other thing I wanted to raise, because it came up several times on the list, is studying the CPA, the Community Preservation Act. And I certainly understand that this has come before the town twice before and has not passed, but notwithstanding that history, when we look at a number of different sectors within the plan, natural and cultural resources, open space, they are all pointing to wanting to study the benefits of the CPA, which obviously you'd need to study, how it would work and whether it might be feasible. But that's something I'd like to see us do because it was so strongly recommended. Nora, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, well, I think that's something that absolutely has to be studied. So that's something Stephanie, I think, will jump in. It's something that Pam had looked into before, and the recognition was that in the past, it was not at a point where the town was interested in taking it up. But we should take another look and see what the cost benefit analysis is, and see if it's worthwhile, and if the planning board, if the town is willing to move in that direction in the future. So there are clear benefits that other towns experience, but there are also some costs to it. So I think it needs a deep financial analysis to determine whether it's appropriate at this point or not.
I would say let's get a town planner hired and let's get Stephanie through this first budget cycle.
Good idea.
All right. Anything else, Marianne?
No, thank you.
Anything, Michael? Okay. All right, moving now to new business. We have appointments and reappointments. We have a vacancy upcoming for the Dedham Westwood Water Commission. We're seeking a resident to serve on the commission for a 3-year term. The water commissioners are responsible for our public water supply system, which serves both Dedham and Westwood, and they work to establish and collect rates for metered water services and maintaining the financial stability of the water system. Any applications are due by the end of this month on November 28th, and more information on the job or on the role is posted on the town website, and we encourage residents to apply. We also have a recommended appointment to the Age of the Elderly and WEAC. Chris, do you want to take us through those two appointments?
Sure, Mr. Chair. Hold on one second.
I'll get us started while you're coming out of page 30.
Yeah, so thank you, Mr. Chair. So I met with the chair of WEAC, and we did interview Anne Marie Klein. This is for WEAC, excuse me, and a copy of her resume and statement. And Ms. Klein certainly seems like someone who's really interested in what WEAC has accomplished and what they can accomplish in the future. And it's certainly our joint recommendation to the board to recommend Ms. Klein for this role.
Okay, and then we also have some appointments to the Aid to the Elderly and Infirm Committee. Each year, that committee confidentially considers all applications from elderly or disabled residents. And the general eligibility guidelines include, but are not limited to, the following. They must be 65 years of age or older. They must have an annual income of less than $55,000 verified by the last filed federal income tax return, and the home that they live in must be their primary residence. The goal is to assist long-term Westwood residents who wish to remain in the town and in their homes. So the following committee members are being recommended for appointment to the Aid to the Elderly and Infirm Committee. Our Town Finance Director, Stephanie McManus. Our Interim Town Treasurer, Phil Shapiro. Lori DiStefano from the Tax Collector's Office. Lena Arena De Rosa, our Director on the Council on Aging. Town Council Patrick Ahern, and resident and former school committee member Josepha Jowdy. So
there's two more.
Yeah, I see John Kern, our town assessor who was here earlier, and our school superintendent Emily Parks. And to be special note that Select Board Member Walsh and Town Tax Collector Elaine DeRena were previously appointed to the Aid to the Elderly and Infirm back in May of this year. So with those two groups, the Westward Environmental Action Committee and the Aid to the Elderly and Infirmed, I would entertain an action. Before I do, let me ask if there's any conversation or discussion amongst my peers.
No.
No.
Very good. I would entertain a
Mr.
motion.
Chair, if I, just as a point of clarification, I did not include this in, just so the board is fully aware and the people watching. The recommendation for Ms. Klein would be for her term to expire on June 30th, 2025.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So I move the select board appoint the following members, as members to the Aid to the Elderly and Infirmed Committee: Stephanie McManus, Phil Shapiro, Laurie DiStefano, Lena Arena De Rosa, Patrick Ahern, Josepha Jowdy, John Curran, and Emily Parks for terms to expire on June 30th, 2023. And I also
second that.
Okay, go ahead. We can do it one more time.
Sure thing. Roll call vote. Ms. LeBlanc Cummings.
Aye.
Mr. Walsh.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well.
On the second one, I move that the select board appoint Anne Marie Klein as a member of the Westwood Environmental Action Committee for a term to expire on June 30th, 2025.
I second that.
Okay, roll call vote. Ms. LeBlanc Cummings,
Aye.
Mr. Walsh,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well. Okay, that concludes new business. We have regular meeting minutes for October 20th and October 24th. I will abstain from the October 20th meeting minutes because I was not present.
I move approval of the October 20th, 2022 select board minutes as written.
I second that.
Okay, Ms. LeBlanc Cummings,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well.
Okay,
And, yep, go ahead.
October 24th, 2022.
I move the approval of the select board minutes from October 24th, 2022 as written.
I second that.
Roll call vote. Ms. LeBlanc Cummings,
Aye.
Mr. Walsh,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well.
There is, before we close, Rob, there is one question in the chat.
Certainly, thank you. This is from Fran Fusco, 20 Pine Lane. Why is the next select board meeting scheduled on a Monday morning at 8 a.m.? Is that unfair to residents who are getting ready for work and getting their kids off to school? This is a basically a procedural meeting for the tax classification. Obviously, any of our meetings are on Zoom and people can attend from wherever they are able. And so that's why we're doing this particular meeting, so that we can get things accomplished. Chris, anything to add? Patrick, anything to add? That is the only agenda item for that meeting.
We have historically on occasion had to meet in mornings to get stuff in statutorily. So it's not unusual. It's not that we
Certainly not
never met
precedent.
in the morning, but where necessary, we have had morning meetings through the years.
Mr. Chair, I was just going to add that we have met in the past in the morning. Other boards do meet in the morning, but this will also provide our assessors with the opportunity to use the full day to get the information into the Commonwealth to get that process going that much.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Pat. Okay, with that, our next meeting is the aforementioned November 21st at 8 a.m. And if there are no other questions or comments, hang on a second. There appears to be another one. Residents like myself who attend these meetings will not be able to ask questions. You have always got the opportunity to call or send an email in, as well as a follow-up to any one of these meetings. So with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And seconded.
Roll call, Ms. LeBlanc Cummings,
Aye.
Mr. Walsh.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Thank you, everybody, and we will see you on the 21st.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Don't
Thank
forget
you.